There are magical creatures all around us, and all we have to do is reach out and catch them with our balls. Greetings, truth seekers. I am going to take you on a journey where you will discover yourself and the being of inner light inside you. Hi, did you myth me? Today I'm talking about myths or mythology. Myths are something which we are automatically in our society disparaging about. We think if it's a myth, it mustn't be true. Mankind was created perfect, and intrinsically human beings intend to do good at all times. We've just got to let ourselves do that. Well, yes, a lie or a story is not necessarily true. If we build a wall and keep those Mexicans out, then we're going to be all right. But a myth is something different. A myth could be defined as something which is regarded as an age-old truth that is being portrayed in story form. And myths were really important to ancient society. Important ideas that they wanted to convey would be conveyed in story form so that youth and the uninitiated could easily take the lessons and understand them. These stories were usually in historical form, and there are many, many examples of those. Many of the great religions are based on these mythologies. A very interesting aspect of the last few centuries is that we've taken those mythologies and tried to make them look like real history. And when they're shown not to be real history, we therefore discard the mythology. So then Hercules, being the strongest man in the world, took on Atlas's burden and held up the entire world until his shoulders ached and ached and ached, and he thought he would be there for eternity. But then he had an idea. And that's the problem with regarding, say, a religious text as the absolute and literal truth. So to be clear, the problem is not the text, the religious text. The problem is the rationalism involved, how we reject these writings and these ideas and these things that have been passed on to us over the generations because they're shown not to be true. Now, in our modern day and age where we're so sophisticated, we have myths and legends all the time. We just call them stories, we call them narratives. We make up exciting, inflated, emotional ideas because, let's face it, emotion trumps rationalism almost every time. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is that for me personally, the idea of thinking about myth is really important. I understand now that my own story is partly to do with myth. For example, with the educational software I'm creating, rather than just creating an app that helps kids learn, what if I was able to create an app that made kids love learning? Can I measure loving learning? I don't know. I can certainly see some of its effects, but I have this idea that a constructivist type learning environment would actually excite children and make them love learning, and that's what I want for my kids, and I think that's what everyone wants for their kids too, rather than being in the state where they don't like learning at all. But there's partly mythology in that. I could go down the facts and figures route, but I don't have the academic training to do so. If I did, can I really measure a love of learning? Don't know. It's worth a thought though. See you next time. This was Being.